Gundam.tk presents Double O Riser. Hey, what's up? Welcome back, everybody. Robert184, 2 R's, 2 B's from Gundam.tk, continuing my look at the perfect great Double O Gundam. You've seen the parts, you've seen it all put together. Now let's see what kind of poses we're able to pull off with this. Just bearing in mind that because of the complications of the GN condensers, or perhaps that's going to be a good thing once we get into the heavier weapons, this is not going to be as easy a kit to pose. As you may have seen in the earlier parts, you're able to take the GN Swords 2, pop this part, pivot that into place, and then pop down this pocket here, and then attach this on to put the GN Sword 2s on the side skirts. And already I would say that that adds just a little bit more coolness as he gets bulked out both to the sides and especially to the back, and the chrome make parts, the silver parts there, really tend to look pretty cool. To attach the GN shield onto the GN drives, you're just going to slide this down and pop this part up before plugging it in just below the drives themselves. Whereas you could argue he looked really skinny before, especially before adding the GN drives, when you put on the shield and the weapons, he really has filled out horizontally. With the GN drives on a bit of a slide mechanism, you're able to slide them this way and then spin them forward. And I'd like to try to tell you that this looks cool, but really? Does it? However, I am a much bigger fan of them in the back, as they actually do look like drives that would provide a fair amount of propulsion as he goes blasting forward. The shield plugs into the forearm quite securely, and the polycap makes it feel like it's going to stay in there despite the weight. However, it really is a little bit unwieldy. For some reason from the front it sort of looks like he's carrying a surfboard on the back of his arm. Now you could change that by putting these white parts in a little bit more and by adding the decals. They do give you the white celestial being decals. That would probably look a little bit better on there. When you get into posing with things like the beam sabers, etc., this is where you're really going to notice that you have to think about what you're going to do, because you can't just move the arms freely into position. You're going to have to think about it and then press the buttons in the according way, and then you're going to set off the GN drives, and then you got to swing them out of the way. And basically it's just not quite that easy to get him into a great pose. And the ankles are actually somewhat disappointing with how much they pivot this way, so that you can't actually spread the legs out that much, even though he can do the splits with his legs. The gun poses can look alright. The only thing is getting everything lined up just right between the hands, the elbows, and collecting the rifles into the forearms are going to cause you a fair bit of frustration in between setting off the GN drives and the same things that I've already been saying. Not to say it looks bad, it just takes it a little bit of time and patience to get him where you want. By fiddling with the hips, you're able to get him into a kneeling position fairly well, and you'll notice that he's propped up on his toes on the back there. But to do that, you're going to have to bring the hips down and dislodge this front of the front skirt to have him old style Texas shooting style. I also do like his, what I like to call Wolverine pose, where you take the shields and put them under the forearms as forward striking blades. You would be able to put them up, but you'd have to flip the hands or flip the arms all the way over. And again, you're going to have to be careful with the positioning of the GN drives to keep them out of the way. Here's the same idea. It looks pretty cool, especially if you fiddle around with the fists. The only thing being that you'll notice is that his arm, is dislocated. By the same logic, you can also have the shield protecting forward, again, if you just twist it off to the side, or the arm all the way around. Because it's a little bit difficult to get the feet lined up just right on the ground, especially with the legs, this action base, which was included with the first production runs, is going to make aerial poses hopefully a lot easier. And this is accomplished by opening up that slide door there and then just attaching it on. When putting the GN Sword 2s into the hand though, if the palm is going to be facing down, or the manipulator there, actually you can have some problems with it falling out because there's no secondary attach mechanism like there is with the rifle mode. Here he is off the ground, in a generic swords crossed pose. And I have to say that the effect is pretty pleasing, but again, you have to be careful with the swords when they're in the underside of the manipulators, just for the fact that they do want to fall down on occasion if you're not careful. And you can see some of the weight issues there as soon as I try to attach the effect parts. With the swords running more up and down as opposed to trying to run them parallel to the desk or whatever, you do have a lot more luck and a lot less weight issues, and everything will stay, and really the effect of the extra long parts is fairly impressive. Now I wasn't sure if my action or my turntable base would be able to support it like this, but this is probably going to be my favorite effect. Shields on, drive slightly to the back, swords down, not in a ridiculous position, and there is the perfect grade 00 Gundam. Looking pretty awesome, I have to say. But ever since I bought this guy, this has been what I've truly been waiting for. And with the lights off in the room and the drive spinning, I think he looks pretty cool. So with the lights dimmed and almost off, of course you're going to get very cool looks just into the clear green parts off to the side of the head. The red jewel turns green. And I'm wondering, it really would have been better if I had used the clear parts, but just enough green light escapes from the eyes to make it look pretty cool. I'm wondering if I hadn't put the seal on at all, just with all green eyes, how that would have worked out. That wraps up my look at the posability of the 00 Gundam, and if you use your imagination, I'm sure there's a million more poses you can pull off. Anyway, don't forget to stay tuned for the rest of the review of the 00 Riser, including the O Riser, and putting it all together. Let me know what you think, and stay tuned for my final verdict. Robert184, gundam.tk.